Welcome back. The time you create AWS account first time, you create a user account, type of user account. By default, this is called root account, AWS root account. As far as security concern, using this account for day-to-day activities is not recommended. However, you could create another type of user account, which is IAM user account for day-to-day activities. In today's lecture, we'll go through what is root account and what are the best practices using this root account and how to protect them using multi-factor authentication. Let's get started. So the agenda for today's lecture is going through the login process. We will log into the console using the root user account. And second point, we'll discuss more about AWS root user. And third point, we'll discuss about root users and best practices. What are the best practices when it comes to root user? And fourth point, we'll discuss about there are some tasks that require root user credentials. We'll discuss on that. And the fifth point, how to protect this root user account using the multi-factor authentication. And finally, we'll discuss what if MFA device is lost or stop working, how to recover it. Now let us log into the AWS console. Here I type AWS console login, then I find URL for the link, and there is option here sign into the console. Once I click, I get the login view to log into the console. I get two options here, root user as well as IAM user. This time I'm going to log into the root user account. So I have my root user email address. This is my root user email address, and I click next. Then I enter the password, then click sign in. Once I signed in, I am into the dashboard of the AWS. Right? Now, if you click here, this, my account name, then you will find the account ID and set of options here. There is option here, security credential, menu option. Click security credentials. Here you will find my root user account details, and there is a warning sign here. You don't have a MFA assigned. I will discuss this in a short next slide. How to assign MFA. So who is AWS root user? It is a user account you create by default when you sign up for the AWS first time. So this account has access to all your AWS resources. What are the best practices when it comes to AWS root user? First, it is strongly recommended not to use for day-to-day activities. Instead, we have to use IAM user account for such cases. Second, this AWS account root user can be used only you have a task that require root user credentials. There are certain tasks that require only root user credentials. Otherwise, you cannot do those tasks. And third, please never ever share your root account. It's highly risky. And fourth, as a security or safety measure, you have to add multi-factor authentication for your root user account and keep it safe. Instead of accessing the root user, you create an IAM user with administrative privileges for the day-to-day activities. You can add multi-factor authentication for that too. And let us discuss about the use cases when it comes to AWS root user. First, change your AWS account settings. It's absolutely important to protect your AWS account with the help of root user account. Okay, and if you have any issue with other IAM user permissions, you can fix it using the root user. And third point, if only IAM administrator he accidentally revoke their permission, and you can fix it by signing on the root user account and edit the policy and fix those permissions. Fourth one, The billing and cost management is not available to other users by default, but as a root user you can grant such permissions. Fourth one, there is an Amazon marketplace where you can sell your products like your machine, virtual machines, etc. etc. And to registering to this marketplace require to use root user account. Sixth one, to protect your S3 bucket. S3 bucket is object storage service. To protect this bucket with multi-factor authentication, you require root user account. The same apply to SQS, simple queue service. In order to protect this SQS, or you can edit or delete the policy to accept or deny any principal accounts, you can use root user account. And S3 bucket policy, you can edit or you can accept or deny other principals using the root user account. There is AWS Gov Cloud that account require root user access keys from AWS support, and signing up for the Gov Cloud also require root user account. There is service called KMS, Key Management Service for encryption and decryption. If you stuck something with this KMS, you can recover it by contacting the AWS support as a root user. Finally, if you don't want to use AWS and if you want to close your account, you can use root user. Let us discuss about multi-factor authentication. So what is multi-factor authentication? It's a multi-step account login process. So users required to enter password and additional information. There is some code we have to enter. In typical login, we will use user ID and password. But once you set up multi-factor authentication, it's about your password plus the code created by the authenticator device. There are many ways you can add multi-factor authentication with your account in AWS, but here we can use some virtual device where we can set up this device with your account, and the code will be generated by your device. This app can be installed in your Android or iOS mobile phone, and this device will be responsible creating such codes. So let us see how it is going to work. Now let us see how to set up multi-factor authentication for our root user account. Once you logged in with your root user account, in the top right corner you will find your account name and you will find the account ID. Under that you will find security credentials option. Click here. You will find a screen here, my security credentials for the root user section, and you will find a warning sign here. You don't have a MFA assigned. As a security best practice, we recommend you assign MFA. Just scroll down, you will find the account details section. Next to that, you will find multi-factor authentication section. This is where we are going to set up our multi-factor authentication for this account. So there is a button here, assign MFA device. Click here. You will find option here, MFA device name. Now you put any name as you like. My setup MFA, and under that you will find three options to set up MFA device. You have to select one. Now we select authenticator app. This is what we have to set up in our mobile phone and integrate with our account. And there is security key and hardware. The second and third options are beyond the scope of this lecture. So you select the first one, authenticator app, and click next. Yeah. Now, in order to set up MFA, it's a three-step process. First, you have to go and install authenticator app in your mobile phone, Android or iOS mobile phone. You find set of applications, which is compatible applications are listed here. If you click this link, you will find a complete documentation here. you have to read this documentation. It's good, it's a good read, and you will find all the options here. What are the things you need to set up, what are the things required to set up this MFA. Okay, for Android, since I'm using Android phone and I'm going to use the app Authy, so it's much recommended, it's a good to use, and I'm going to select this one. So if you come here, it's a 3-step process. First, go and install Authy app. This is first one. Second one, if you see here this link, show QR code, click this one, and it is a QR code. Once you open your Authy mobile app, now let me open Authy app from my mobile. And you will find option to add account. Click add account, and you will find option to scan QR code. Once you open the scan QR code, scan this QR code, then you will find token be generated in your account. Okay, you have to enter the first token in this third option. You have to enter the first QR code. I have entered first code, and then wait for the second code to come in few seconds. It will change and give you the second code. Yeah, now I got second code. I'm entering the second code. Once I entered both codes, then click the action button, add MFA. Now MFA device assigned. Alright, so it's a virtual device and there is a unique ID for it, and this has been added successfully. Now log out or sign out from the console and try to log in again. If you log back again, then again you will log in as a root email address, root user account, and also you enter the password. Now this time you have enabled the multi-factor authentication. You're supposed to provide MFA code from your device. So this code, you open your MFA authenticator app and enter the MFA code generated from the device. Now I am entering the code. Click submit. After entering the code, now you have successfully logged in with your root user account, which is enabled with multi-factor authentication. Okay, click here for the security credential. Now your root user account has been protected. What if an MFA device is lost or stops working? So if your MFA device is lost, then if you have a backup device, like you have a backup device, you can use it to recover it. Or if you have set up only one device and you are a root user and you lost it, then you need to use alternative methods of authentication. You can sign in by verifying your identity using the email or primary contact number which you used in your registration. Okay, and if you are a IAM user and you lost your MFA device, means then you cannot recover it by yourself. You must contact administrator to deactivate the device. This is how it will work. This lecture, I have discussed with you the significance of AWS root account, the best practices of using the root account, and the ways to protect it. That's it from my end. I hope you enjoyed my lecture. I will see you next time with another interesting AWS topic. Thank you.